Hello, everybody. This is going to be an interesting video. Interesting because it's one that I've self-addressed plenty of times. One that some of you have already given me your opinion and perspective on, and it's one that I feel like should be readdressed because of who I've discovered this year and who's discovered me and how our interactions go. And there are people who are more exposed. One second. It's given me more exposure than I've ever desired or asked for, but it's fine because it's also been my path and journey to accept wherever my path and journey leads me, even if it's to the more less in the corners spaces of the internet and in my own personal life. Hey, Malika, all is well. I mean, besides the fact that I just had to do homework after I worked all day, that is not. I learned my lesson once already, but then I guess I forgot because here I am again. But last week I wasn't. Anyway, um, so I guess it's only fair to let people know who I am and what I'm about because you come from wherever you come from. You see me wherever you see me on the channels. Run however they are run with whoever is running them, right? And I think the whole situation is interesting for a few reasons because yesterday I was talking to my friend and she was talking about the space that she's in and Mercury being retrograde. And I was like, I think this is a little bit beyond the scope of Mercury. It might be Mercury in the fact of what it puts us in a position to do because we may have to speak or interact. But it was like, well, like Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn were also retrograde and are now coming direct. And I guess you can view it as whenever a planet goes direct, it's an opportunity to apply whatever you learned in that retrograde or just in general, right? And so for me, the situation took me back to high school where there was a person who I had spent time with more privately. One second. Um, we shared a private moment, and then I made a comment in front of a lot of people, and somebody took the comment wrong. And at first, I was upset, and I was upset that. One second. This is so me. I'm such a millennial. Oh my gosh. um, I tried to in the situation. I was more like upset that somebody would think that I was the type of person to do or say whatever. And they were like, it was wrong of you to say that because blah, blah, blah. Not knowing that I had a whole moment with this person, like literally a day or two before that I personally enjoyed extremely. And it's funny because in that moment, he told me we had a conversation and it ended up being like me saying I'm a pacifist because when I was a kid I had an extremely short fuse and I blew up on anybody and everybody and I was no respecter of persons. If you put a hand on me, you could get a hand. If you approached me in a certain manner, I would approach you right back. I didn't care about gender or age or position. Principals got it, classmates got it, teachers got it. But I came out of that because of such situations, circumstances, and happenings. And so by this time, I was like, I'm a pacifist. And I was like, I'm a pacifist because when I approach certain spaces, I feel like I don't have as much control over myself. And then he was like, well, what if there comes a time when you have to fight? And I was like, well, I'll just back out. I'll just walk away. And I guess in some ways, it's been a theme. First, it was brought up within me, and then situations happened. And I was like, okay, it's time to start speaking. It's time to start saying stuff, because to be silent or to not speak on something in some way because of whatever reason wouldn't be right. So anyway, it took me back to that, and I tried to give the person the benefit of the doubt, knowing that knowing that it was futile, but I did it anyway to honor that space. And was there truth in what the person said? Yeah, but also at the same time, like, I'm not the type of person that's so afraid of the word ego, that's so afraid of the word arrogance, that's so afraid of hurting someone's feelings that I'm going to diminish myself or not say something if I feel it needs to be said. I'm also the type of person that can have enough foresight to know that because I'm in the space that I'm in and I talk about what I talk about, number one, and when I read, stuff comes up, number two, that there are people who go through that. And I can be kind and caring and compassionate enough to, in that moment, declare what I don't have the capacity for. Like to save both myself and the other person who it might affect, the pain, I guess, like, especially for the other person to feel seen in a space or to feel heard in a space and then to reach out, especially if they're hurting, and to get something from me less than what they feel they need, especially if they feel that I'm capable because of the way I approached it. Like, I can be caring and kind and compassionate enough. I can have enough foresight to say in that moment, if this is something that you need, I am not the person to get it from. I don't have the capacity for this. And just because I don't have the capacity, I don't believe that I shouldn't speak on things that need to be spoken on. So, and like I said, like, I'm not so afraid of somebody else's opinions or somebody else's feelings, hurt or not. Like I said, like, that consideration that I appreciated of the person in high school, that she would call me out for the sake of someone else who she thought I was making some kind of comment against. Like, I had so much appreciation and admiration and respect for her, even though in the moment I'm like, I was upset that she would think that I was the type of person to do whatever. I was like, no, like, we had a whole moment, but I just let it go. Anyway, it's been something that it doesn't come to my mind often, but every now and then it does. And so that's why I responded in the way that I responded and extended the courtesy that I extended, even though I knew it wouldn't be welcomed, of course. But for me, I guess it was a moment to also, as I've been, like I said, I've been working on this throughout myself. It was an opportunity to put it into practice. You know what I mean? And Saturn is the planet of boundaries, and Mercury is in Libra right now. So things are going to be interpersonal. You know what I mean? And it's retrograding. So I guess in that too, it was an opportunity for me to resolve that. And that's how I look at everything, or a lot of things. In some ways I've always looked at things, but I haven't always had the courage to take the opportunities that it would give me. And that's the reason why I'm addressing this too. Maybe because it would be beneficial to you in some way. Also, again, to state that I don't have the capacity, especially between the classes I'm taking, this new job, and me like figuring out my own life. Do I wish I could be there for people? Absolutely. I honestly last year started to feel like there was a capacity that I used to have to be there for people that I don't have anymore. Um, and I think sometimes it's unfortunate, but I think it's also healthy for me and for the other person if I could be like, forthright about that. I can't do what I can't do. I can't fix what I can't fix, and I can't do or fix what is not mine to do or fix. And sometimes it's only my job to say something. And however it's interpreted, whatever it stirs, that's not on me. And I have a responsibility, sure, as one giving a message, but when I'm receiving a message, I also have the responsibility, but it's the responsibility of the other person as well who is receiving a message to take it in whatever way. And I'm not going to take full like responsibility for something that is not entirely my responsibility. Am I arrogant? Am I naive? Do I have an ego? Yes. I'm naive of a lot of things. I do have an ego and I don't feel I need to abandon it or get rid of it. I'm not going to fall into a lot of niches of roles and appearances of what a reader should be because honestly, I'm fairly new to this space and I I count my blessings several times throughout especially the past year and a half how new I am to this space, how many attachments I don't have, how many preconceptions I don't have, how many years of thinking about things in certain ways I don't have, how many years of frustration that things didn't work out the way that I was believing that they would that I don't have. I realize that I'm extremely fortunate and I thank my first house Taurus moon that I've learned to appreciate. I've learned to appreciate my stubbornness. And I find, I don't know, all of these things about myself that I used to be like, why am I like this? And sometimes I'm still like, why am I like this? But I've learned to love it because of situations that happen in my life and because of how I approach those situations. And like I said, I can still be like self critical enough and compassionate enough to see the value in what was said, of course. But at the same time, it's not something that I necessarily feel I have to behold myself to all the time. So if you can't take that, don't be here. Like, you are free to voice whatever you want to voice, and I am free to ignore it or to respond if I feel it appropriate for whatever reason. But like, no one's forcing anybody to be here. And I'm not going to change me to be more palatable or to be more like, I don't know, less triggery. Because again, like if it needs to be said, it needs to be said. And just because I'm the one who gets the message doesn't mean that I'm the one to resolve it. Just like sometimes I can get a message and I don't know what it means. If I don't understand it, does that mean I shouldn't like give it? I shouldn't say it. I shouldn't put it out there. If the answer is yes to you, that's fine. It's no to me. And I'm not for you. And it's that simple. So, hello, Willow Pillow. Hello, Skywaltress. Yeah. So that's that. Um, and it's something that's been like, at first it was like, oh, like I can be kind of harsh sometimes. I can be a little triggery sometimes. I hope like, because I feel like, I feel like this is how it'll happen, or this is how it happened in the past. There would be a moment where I would collaborate with somebody maybe, and it was super one thing, and then I would be on my channel in this space and just get like a little chili pepper message, and I was like, ooh, like ooh, this is the. But honestly, like I would love for that to be someone's first interaction with me because it's a part of me and it's not going to change when it's necessary. You know what I mean? And so you can already at the jump be like, "Oof, I can't take this. I don't like this. This isn't for me. This doesn't resonate with me. This doesn't. It's not for my journey or my growth or whatever." And that's fine. You know, I'm not for everybody, and everybody most definitely is not for me. I almost prefer that over the nicer, softer ones now, but I realize it's a mix of both. So you know, what will happen, and I get to in some way. And it goes to what Russ was saying in Cloud 5 or 6 about how when you walk into a crowd, you get to determine the type of interaction, you set the narrative. I get to decide what I take away from each and every interaction and experience I have. I get to choose ways to grow from it, or I get to choose to not. And sometimes I get to consciously choose to not grow from situations, and I do because I'm me. And then eventually it's like, oh, that was the wisdom in that experience. That was the lesson. That was the thing to be gained. This was the thing to come forth with. This was an opportunity. So thank you for the opportunity. Like I said, I appreciate it. It was an opportunity to resolve something that I wish I could have resolved a long time ago that I never did. And it was also an opportunity for me to, like, stand in and practice what it's been over a year and a half now without any real opportunity to do so. So everything in its purpose, I guess, everything in its timing. Hey, Holly. Hey, Rebecca. Oof. Rebecca, your timing is hilarious. I feel like Russ does more astrology and numerology than I do. I used to pull on astrology and the planets sometimes. I don't as much anymore. And numerology, I numerology, I don't know. Numerology, sometimes I try to approach in my own way. And I try to build out my understanding of numbers in that way. Because people say that eight is abundance and stuff like that. But for me, eight feels like a trap. It feels like a situation that has no escape. And it's the one that's positioned right before the nine, right before the completion. It's like, the hamster wheel when you're trying to get somewhere. But anyway, welcome to this space. Watch the video from the beginning, Rebecca, and you may get it. You may not. But thank you for being here, I guess. So I need to get me something to eat, but I didn't want what was being cooked earlier. My homework is submitted. It's almost time for me to go to sleep because I gotta go to work tomorrow. I want a vacation. But last time I had a vacation, I was done after like 2 days. I was like, I want to go back to work. If I didn't have homework to do this weekend, I think I would have been fine. But anyway. And maybe me talking through this gives you, like I said, some kind of perspective on how you can work through situations as they come up, or an ability to recognize opportunities in places. Because my immediate reaction was not to respond in the way that I responded, honestly. But then I was like, hold up. Because so I copied it and I cut it. Because on the app, you can't like do anything if you're typing something. So I was like, let me copy this, discard it so I can reread this and then make sure. And I was like, you know what? I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. And I'm glad I did. And then my patience ran. It was like non existent. It was gone. It was gone. But anyway, you just had an amazing mushroom spinach panini. Oh. I mean, Russ said something about eating spinach. He said spinach and potatoes. And it reminded me of a dish that my friend made. It was a spinach and potato curry. It was so good. And I didn't think I liked cooked spinach, but pretty much anything can be good if you season it right. And he seasoned it right. I actually bought spinach to do a spinach curry with. And that was before I did the water fast for 3 days with Reem. And so I didn't end up doing the spinach curry, but I did end up breaking my water fast with a spinach salad. It was spinach, cut up apples, a hard boiled egg, peanuts, maybe. I don't know. Yes! Alu Palak! Ooh, it was so good! Oh, Rebecca, you know! Rebecca, you know! I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. And I looked at it, I was like, but I'm so glad I tried it because it was so good. It was so good. All right. I hope you all have a good whatever. Whenever you see this, I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And if there are experiences that you don't want, you are free to not have them, as you do in all areas and aspects of your life, I'm sure. And you are free to voice your opinions because you have that right. And other people are free to listen or not listen because they have that right. And I don't know. All right. I'll catch y'all later. But, well, I can pull one card. Ooh, I'll grab these. I'll grab these. Oh, and we coming up on a full moon in Aries. Woo! I feel the fire. I'm just playing. But yeah, sorry, I'm not one of those people who's like, oh, I don't want to be seen as egoic. Oh, arrogance. Oh, that bruises me. I will change. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not. But I guess I am if that's what you needed. But still, I wasn't the person to give that to you. So I can't be sorry about that. Hey, Dottie. Okay. I mean, this card is probably going to have a bunch of projection on it. Let's call it as it is. Let's just put it out there or not, because I do feel the wind shifting. So maybe it'll be something beautiful to prove that I'm capable of, both or not. One card, please, for whatever. Does that connect to heart? It is. It's connect to heart. Oof. And the universe. Honestly, connect to heart in the universe. This reminds me, I think it was the beloved and the coyote that had a message of the many different forms that love takes, even when love isn't soft and gentle and caressing. And how all of that moves the world forward. And to withhold any of that for any reason can produce stagnancy, right? It's like an enabling energy. If you have a loved one who suffers from addiction and you don't want to see them suffer when they don't have it, but you also don't like to see them suffer when they're using, like that's when love has to make a choice. You know what I mean? And so to the person experience it, love may look like enabling and support of behaviors that aren't productive, that are destructive to self and to others. And sometimes love looks like sitting with someone while they go through something and just being there. Sometimes love looks like accountability and other stuff, to the point where, like in that example, like after someone gets clean, they can see the love for what it was and they can appreciate it for what it was and for what it hopefully returns them to or returns to them. And I think sometimes, like I said, when we hold back on certain types of love because it might be hard for the other person to handle or whatever, we do them a great disservice because we keep them where they are when they can move forward. And it's not always our job to move someone forward, but I don't believe it's our job to necessarily keep ourselves stuck and stagnant in situations where there is only decay, to the point where we start to decay. That's where self love has to balance against the love for others. And it's not always against, sometimes it's with. Balancing self love and love for others. And maybe that's some Venus higher heart with the Saturn lower heart and the sound healing planetary wrestling around cards. I think I actually got Venus and Saturn from Russ recently, or I saw them together. I was like, oh, that's higher heart and lower heart. I don't know. Anyway, that's the card. Oh, look! Under the universe is self love. There we go. See, and I feel like there's an energy here where self love, it puts us in the world in a new way, or it allows us to show up in a different way, in a way that is involved, but not entirely, and that is detached and not entirely, in a healthy way. Boundaries. And then the shadow is under that with the observer. Ooh. What's the shadow observer about? Maybe the shadow observer, it's an energy where when we see others in self love, when we see others stand up for themselves, when we see others speak out in ways, it gives us the courage to do the same. Maybe because we first desire it, and then because we encounter situations, and it's like, I feel like typically it goes in the way of like snapping, right? You put up with so much, you tolerate so much, and then one day, one time, it goes too far. You just reach a breaking point, and then after you breaking point, it's this get in. It's the fighting the balance, and it reminds me actually of Gate 6 with Reem, where it was like the holy and fearsome energy. It's like it's going from a perceived holy where we just take anything and everything that people say to us, to a fearsome energy, back to a holy energy that is also fearsome, where we learn to be both. And I am the type of person, or I used to be at least the type of person that had to experience both ends of certain spectrums to find balance in the middle. Because I would like overcompensate way too much. And then try to go to the center and go like past center. And it was like my Jupiter is in Libra, one of my ruling planets. I can be Libran in ways, but it's also retrograde. And it opposes my Venus in Aries. So anyway, like I said, I hope you all have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality, and whatever you need and whatever you desire along your path, journey, and way. I hope you find it, because that would be cool, right?